And that's how the intro goes. Hey, everybody. Theme song. I'm going to say theme song. Welcome back to the Constitutionals Podcast. I'm your host, Chad White, and this is the premier podcast. If you didn't know, it's a premier for cpluscomedy.com, where there's a bunch of stuff you can do stuff on. It's a website. You go there, you listen to this, you watch shows on the thing. A really bad night, guys. This is a horrible night for me to record. Not like last week. Last week was terrible. This night's going to be good. Listen, I want to take a little deviance away from what my auxiliary topics I had written down beforehand. Right now, I'm breaking the fourth wall, as I typically do on this show. This is a new segment of the show called Breaking the Fourth Wall. It's not. And I'm watching the Bachelorette in Paradise, the Bachelor in Paradise, whatever it's called. And all these people, there's such crappy just instances. They're all just little petty people saying, oh, I fall in love with this person. I'm falling in love with this person. I'm here doing this. Oh, you've made my Paradise experience great, blah, blah, blah. I just watched this one girl just say, her name is Amanda, I believe, blonde girl. And this guy likes her. They threw some, what's it called? Those glow sticks into a pool. And then they went for a walk on the beach. She just did a talking head that said, I don't really feel anything with this guy. And then she's out there the night before, just kissing the dude. And I'm shy, and I don't know. That made me so mad, made me angry. I also saw a casting notice. They said they're looking for women for The Bachelor. And I'm thinking, why don't they just make me why don't they make somebody, not just, if they're not going to do me, if not me, somebody like me, somebody who doesn't have money, who's not tall, who's not white, who just a regular old Joe. Like, if they got me, I think I would be able to pass. I would be able to do a lot of damage on The Bachelor. And I'm talking about with the women, damaging a lot of women. No, but for real, I think I would be a decent bachelor enough. I'd be able to get in there. I'd change up the game. I wouldn't be like Rachel Lindsay. I wouldn't bend to the whims of the producers and all the white people in charge. I'd be the guy in there. I'd be, what do you want to do today, Chad, for a date? Oh, we're going to go skydiving into a pig farm, and we're going to clean up pig poo. And that's what I would do. I'm really popping those peas there. I'm just trying to. Anyway, that's all I thought. I also want to mention, I've been thinking about this a lot. Today I was working on my Emmy nominations. Right now, I'm going to do a Google form. First time I've done a Google form for Emmy nominations. What you do is you choose your first choice, your second choice. First choice gets a full point. Second choice gets half a point. So if your first choice for best comedy show was Blackish, your second point, and your second choice was Veep, you get a first point, full point. And if they choose Blackish, you get a full point. If they choose Veep, you get a half point. If they choose Atlanta, which I hope they don't, you get no points. So anyway, I'm doing that, and I'm thinking, and the people that are part of it, that I send this to a group of friends, and then they compete to see who can beat me. You can beat me, then I'll give you a gift or a prize or whatever. And I don't know what the prize is. It's probably just gonna be a free dinner or something like that. So I'm thinking about some of the people I'm sending it to. A couple of them are married, and I'm thinking I haven't talked to them since probably my birthday, during which they said happy birthday. Excuse my grammar. And then before that, probably their birthdays, which are months ago. And I'm thinking, I don't like to spend a lot of time talking to my married friends. Not because they're married. Actually, probably it's because they're married. Mostly because they're married. But also, I just don't think that I don't want to be the one of their single friends that's just talking to them all the time. Just like, hey, what's up? What are you guys doing? That's cool. How's working? All this? I don't care. Because first of all, I don't like small talk. That's a very big issue of mine. I dislike small talk to a point where people think I'm rude, and I don't. No, I just don't like small talk. But I don't know. It's weird to me to be one of their single friends and they have their own lives to live. And that's what I want them to do. I want them to live their own lives. If I don't talk to friends who've been in a relationship for too long, or who are now married or engaged, I just don't feel like. I feel like I should just talk to other single people, and I think that's what I'm gonna keep doing. But to my friends that are married, if you're listening to this, and maybe you are, because there's 20 subscribers, I doubt you are. But if you are listening, I'm not ignoring you. I just want you to live your own lives, because we're gonna be separate people, and because we are. We used to be good friends, and now we're not. That's fine. I don't care. I love you still. Anyway, let's get on to the auxiliary topics, guys. Mayweather McGregor. Watch that fight. Listen, let me tell you, I found a Twitch stream. Somebody was streaming on Twitch. A lot of people were streaming on YouTube. The YouTube ones kept getting taken down. And first of all, they were minutes behind. And I could not deal with that because I knew that once the fight ended, I was going to get an email. I was going to get alerts, an email from Deadline and Hollywood Reporter and The Wrap and all those places. And then I was going to get alerts from the New York Times and ESPN. And I mean, obviously I can ignore my phone. But when it's 12 o'clock and I'm trying to stay up to watch this, I'm doing anything to distract myself. Speaking of which, I fell asleep in the 8th round, and Mayweather TKO. I don't know if it's TKO. He won in the 10th. So there you go. Moving on, because I gotta do this quick. I want to do something else. I want to talk about something else. Listen, guys. I just finished watching King Julian on Netflix. It's called All Hail King Julian. It's a prequel series to the movies. So it's just King Julian. He just became king, and he has a bodyguard named Clover who's not in the movies. So I assume she leaves at some point. And there's Maurice and Mort are there, and I think Andy Richter's the only person that returns from the movies. So they're all there. All the characters are there. And then you're being introduced to new characters, like the toucan that hosts her own quote unquote TV shows. They don't really have TV there. There's different kingdoms. There's a crocodile kingdom. There's the lemur kingdom, which King Julian's in charge of. There's a Mort kingdom, but in a different world, in a different universe. Anyway, I'm getting too far into it. But this show, King Julian, takes place. So it's like I said, it takes place in a time before the show, before the movies. No one knows really when. I just assume. I don't know. And they just put out a 5th season, probably May this year. Wow, I've been watching this show for like 7 months. It takes me so long to get through a show, and then eventually, around the 2nd season, I get into it and I just start watching more and more. I only do 2 episodes a day. If you know me, I watch 2 episodes a day of a new show, and then I gotta move on because it's I don't like to watch one thing at once. But so it all takes place before the movies, and then there was penguins in Madagascar, which apparently is not a part of the universe at all. I think it's just a spinoff that happens to star all these other characters, the penguins and Maurice, who's played by the same. It's all the same characters, but they're all different things. So I think Madagascar is really the only good. Shrek is not good. The only good DreamWorks Animations franchise. I think it's great. I think it's fantastic, and I hope they come back. I think the 3rd one is my favorite one. Europe's Most Wanted. There's going to be a 4th one at some point. But it's All Hail King Julian. Then Madagascar 1. Then Madagascar 2. Then I think the Penguins movie. Is that what it was? I think it was the Penguins movie. Penguins Madagascar comes out in 2014. No, so it's after Madagascar 3. So they're still doing the the circus, and then the penguins go, hey, we're gonna disappear for a while, and then they disappear. Oh yeah, there was a Puss in Boots movie. I'm looking at the Wikipedia right now. There's so much going on, guys. So yeah, I mean, I guess it all takes place kind of in that time frame. But All Hail King Julian it's a lot of DreamWorks shows. A lot of their shows do not start out good, and then eventually it builds up into a good show. All Hail King Julian turned into this great meta, all just show that just dropped everything in the Madagascar world, and it just made it basically a pop culture show, kind of like Turbo, which I don't think Turbo is coming back. But that Turbo show, that cartoon, ooh boy, those later episodes, very good. Even though it's only a 2D show they did. Anyway, go watch All Hail King Julian. I think it's great. I think it's fantastic. If you love cartoons like me, because you're a child, go watch it. Also, I want to talk about the return of Episodes. Episodes is a show. It's the final season of the show. It stars Matt LeBlanc as himself, and he's part of a show called oh boy, I don't know. This is season 5. So it starts off with him getting a part in this show called Pucks, which is a hockey-based, I guess, comedy or drama. Yeah, I think it was a comedy. And he starts working with this British couple, and then eventually, a couple seasons down the line, the British couple, some stuff happens, and then anyway, we're in the last season, and now Matt LeBlanc is doing a game show called The Box, and people are just in a box. It's so stupid describing it. People are in a box, and they win points by hurting other people in other boxes, like having Gilbert Gottfried read the Bible to you, to somebody else, you being able to get a bed or a shower or something like that. Anyway, so that show's doing well, and now Matt LeBlanc, or the British people, have to work with this other guy that they hate, that used to be one of the British people's writing partners. Anyway, it's a great show. I really like that show a lot. Go watch it if you have Showtime. Give it a shot. Give it a go. I urge people. Matt LeBlanc is a great guy. Very funny guy. Also, we'll talk about The Tick. The Tick is back, guys. The Tick has been around for pretty much the past 20 years. So, if you don't know about The Tick is a big, muscular-bound guy who's a superhero, and he's based on the bug, the Tick. And he's just very dim-witted, very, very stupid, but he's such an honest guy, and he's very funny. And in every incarnation of the Tick, it's just been just one of the most lauded, I guess, superhero properties in the world. So the Tick is he's a comic book character, and he has superhuman strength, and he's nigh invulnerable, which he says in the show, in his new version of the show. So he's been on TV 3 times. All right, so there's Tick, the 1994 animated series, and that ran for about 3 years. Then there's the 2001 series with Patrick Warburton as the Tick, and now there's this new one with Peter Serafinowicz as the Tick. And all 3 are great. They're very good, but this new one is it's very funny. It feels more like I'll write a review on it, but it feels more like a movie that they had. There's 6 episodes up on Amazon. It was in the part of the pilot program last year. Amazon picked it up. Jackie Earle Haley's in it. Griffin Noonan, and then Valerie Curry as well. I could not speak. But it's created by Ben Edlund, who, let's see what else he did. He's doing a very good job. The show is very hard MA mature with the language, just the way they speak to each other. He was a writer for Firefly. He was a writer for Angel. He was a writer for the Venture Brothers. Oh, look at him. Star Wars Clone Wars is a good cartoon. Gotham, wow. Powers on the PlayStation app. PlayStation had wanted to do TV for a long time, then they stopped doing it. But it's a very good show. This new one takes a different look, a different approach to how the Tick works. The Tick they're trying to figure out where he came from and why, and then the new Arthur Griffin Noonan is trying to figure out where he belongs. He's kind of this weird, suicidal, depressive kind of kid, and his sister's always bothering him to step up and do well and stuff. And it's a fun show. Check it out. But yeah, I want to move on, guys. I gotta move on. I got one more thing to talk about, and it's very big. So this past Friday, watch The Tick. This past Friday, I left work. I knew this was going to happen. I bought a ticket to see my comedian hero, Jimmy Pardo. Now, if you don't know his name, then you're probably right. You don't know his name, but you've maybe seen him in one or two things. Jimmy Pardo is a comedian. He's a comedian who's been doing this for, as long as I've been alive. He also hosts a podcast called Never Not Funny, which is probably one of my favorite podcasts of all time, one of my favorite things of all time. Love listening to them. I subscribe to Stitcher Premium just to get their back catalog of hundreds of shows, just so I can listen to them talk. There's like one episode I was just listening to last week where they were talking about the Grammys like 3 years ago, and so it's an episode from 3 years ago, and I just happened to listen to the Grammys. Same thing with you talking you to me. You talking you to me. A lot of using there. But yeah, so I went to the show. He was doing it at a venue that I've performed open mics at twice now, guys, 2 times or 3 times. I can't count. 2 times. It's the Laughing Skull Lounge, at the Vortex in Midtown Atlanta. And so, let me paint you a picture, guys. I leave work. I leave work early. I leave because the doors open at 7:30. I leave work at like 7:30 exactly, and he's going on at 8 o'clock. I go there. I gotta park. I've already spent $30 some odd on this ticket to go see a stand-up show, which I rarely do. The only other live comedy thing I've seen is Comedy Bang Bang, the tour that came here in Atlanta last May, and I went by myself again. So this time I went by myself again because I don't want to invite somebody to a show that I don't think they're gonna enjoy, quite honestly, and B, because I know I'll enjoy it because I love Jimmy Pardo, and B, I don't want to pay for somebody else. So I go down there. I leave. I park across the street in a parking lot that 100% of the time I always get stopped by some homeless dude, A, or B, he's some turd who's trying to get some money. He's like, hey man, you got $1? Hey man, you got some extra change? And if you're wearing better clothes than me, and I dress nice, if you're wearing nicer clothes than me, you're not going to get money from me. So anyway, I pay to park $10 to park across the street. And I'm thinking, man, Jimmy Pardo better be worth it. At $10, I got paid $10 just to park and just to go across the street for an hour and a half. So I do it. I pay to park. Of course, I have no other choice. Run across the street. I don't run. I walk. I don't want people to see. I do have to stop because my boot is untied. I've been walking halfway across the street and I noticed I had to stop somewhere and tie my boot. I was hoping I didn't get stopped and touched or anything. Because it's Atlanta. Anything can happen. It's Midtown. Anything can happen. And so, walking to this bar by myself, I go. I get my ID checked. And guys, I know I'm 21. I'm 24. I know I look over 21. Come on, I never get carded. And then I go in. I say, hey, I'm here for the comedy show. She goes, go to the back. And I go, I know where I'm going. Sweetie, I've performed here. I interview comedians. you know comedians. I interview them. They're not big all the time, but I do it. And I go to the back. You have to go. You have to cross through all these tables. You have to cross through all these people eating. You have to pass by the kitchen, and it's just in the back. There's no other way to get to this comedy club. You get back there. It's right by the toilets. The stage is not that big. The room is not that big. It's anyway. I get in there. It's small. I get in there. I see first of all on the confirmation email it said 2 drink minimum, and then. And there's posters all plastered out through the comedy club. 2 drink minimum. And I'm thinking, dang, I just spent $10 on parking. I don't know if I want to get anything to drink. So I get this. So I get one of their cheap, I guess, house beers, which were, I don't know. I had some type of ale, and it was like this Laughing Skull ale. Oh boy, just hit the desk. And so that cost me it cost me $4. I tip $1. And I go, because that's all I got. I give her $1. And then I sit down and I go, hopefully no one comes up to me and says, I saw you gotta buy another drink, because I don't have the funds for that. I just spent $30 on this ticket and $10 in parking. So I go to my seat. I sit down. I'm all the way in the back because I bought my ticket really late. This is a sold out show. I think all his shows were sold out. I don't want to say that they were, but I think that they were. So I sit down. I'm drinking my beer. All right, and then I see the host comes up, and it's a guy that I did an open mic with. The last open mic I did, he was there, and he didn't host, but he definitely performed. And he told, Sammy jokes that you hear from young comedians. I mean, he just got back from doing a show in Florida, I believe. But he's a funny guy. But he told a weed joke, and I just those are just the laziest jokes. I'm not a fan of that stuff. I'm not a fan of Doug Benson. I'm not a fan of any of that lazy weed joke. The stuff that I can just pull. I mean, I don't know if it's because I don't want to say study comedy. It's because I'm in the comedy world and I talk to these people and I watch a lot of stand-up. I used to, at least, and that I can pick out the punchlines and everything. But I just don't. I don't like it. Anyway, and another guy performed, and he was a funny guy. He's a very slow, methodical. He's kind of like Nate Bargatze if Nate Bargatze cursed. Nate Bargatze mixed with Jim Gaffigan and then if he cursed. And then was a guy that came from the Tonight Show. He does. I think he's the warm-up comic. His name is Seth Herzog. Very funny guy. Hilarious. And I will tell you, out of all three of those comics, one of them told a joke about Charlottesville and San Bernardino. And it wasn't about the situation that happened, but it was about the surrounding situation. And it wasn't a joke. It's not what you think. It wasn't a controversial joke. It wasn't anything that should be reported on, but it was a very funny joke that was essentially no one said thoughts and prayers. They were sending thoughts and prayers to Charlottesville, but they weren't sending thoughts and like they like people were posting pictures of people were posting pictures of themselves in Charlottesville and saying thoughts and prayers. I was there, I visited there 14 years ago, but no one was saying that about San Bernardino. Like, oh, I visited San Bernardino. It was a very funny joke. I'm butchering it the way he described it, but it was very funny. It's so one of those three comics told that joke. I think it was A-okay. I don't want to blow up his spot, but it was hilarious, and I laughed very hard at that joke. Which, speaking of which, it's. I was thinking going to this show, maybe am I going to be able to laugh? Am I going to be able to laugh in front of strangers I know? Short answer is yes. Of course I laughed. Jimmy got on stage. I couldn't stop laughing. I couldn't get rid of that smile on my face. Jimmy was 20 feet away from me. But I'm a very silent laugher. And so the people next to me, they're just laughing, they're just clapping along. There's a couple next to me. I'm just shaking my shoulders, shrugging them up and down because I'm laughing. Anyway, so Jimmy. So I go see Jimmy. Jimmy gets on stage. I'm clapping along. I'm like, this is Jimmy freaking Pardo. I listen to this guy every week with Matt Belknap and Garen Cockrell and Elliot, last name. So Jimmy's up there just telling his jokes, he's going so fast, and the one thing that pops over my head, I'm thinking, how many people are there? Because I know people do this. How many people are there just to see a comedian, and how many people there to see Jimmy Pardo? And obviously, he has a huge following. I mean, he has one of the longest running podcasts, if not the longest running podcast in podcast history. You know, besides Serial, the original podcast. You know, the podcast that started all the podcasts. That's a dumb inside joke. And so Jimmy's up there telling his jokes. Everybody's laughing, and then this woman keeps shouting things out, and he's doing. Credit to him, he's doing a crowd work tour. He doesn't go up there with prepared material. He goes up there and he's just doing crowd work. He's talking to one guy in the crowd. He's talking to the other two guys in the crowd. Just telling jokes, blah, blah, blah. Talking to people. He's a very funny guy. He can do that. And this lady keeps responding, and he makes fun of her voice. She shuts up for a while. And my God, it was the greatest put down I've ever seen up front in person. He does it a lot on the show, but man, the way he put down that lady and she shut up. Boy, oh boy, did that feel good. But all in all, it was a very good show. I'm very glad I got to see him. And then, so here's my thing. At the end of the show, he says he's gonna sell some stuff right there in front of and on the stage before he leaves. I mean, before he does his second show. So right now, I'm thinking I gotta meet Jimmy Pardo. It's gonna be great. It's gonna be fantastic. I wait in line. I'm maybe third or fourth in line. Because like I said, not a big show, maybe 70 people tops. I get in line, waiting, blah, 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 blah. People talking. I'm just standing there. I'm looking around the pictures. I see a picture of Paul F. Tompkins was apparently at the Laughing Skull in 2004 or something like that. And I thinking, wow, Paul F. Tompkins, PFT was here? This was before he was PFT. He was just Paul. He was just some guy. You know who Paul F. Tompkins is. One of the best alternative comedians right now. He's a very funny guy. Anyway, good at improv. Not trained in improv. Good at improv though. So I finally there. I'm talking to Jimmy Pardo. We shake hands. And I'm thinking, this is great. I'm trying to be in the moment. I'm going, Jimmy, I'm not trying to gush all over him, but I am gushing. I go, Jimmy, you're a very funny man. I love the podcast. I heard you were coming. I had to buy a ticket. This is great. And he's going, yeah, thanks, man. I appreciate it. Blah, blah, blah. And then I say the dumbest thing. Oh, so how's your stay in Atlanta? And he goes, I just got here 4 hours ago, so I really haven't done anything. I go, yeah, that makes sense. Oh, well, anyway, I love the show. Okay, bye. And then I leave. I leave because I get self-conscious. Let me tell you, I talk. If you're a frequenter of cpluscomedy.com, the comedy website with a whole bunch of stuff on it, you know that I've interviewed a lot of comedians. I talk to them. And you've seen the beginnings of the conversations, and maybe you've heard the beginnings of the conversations. I never do the interviews around people, so I don't know why you've heard them. But the way this conversation with Jimmy went, I was not pleased with it because I was so awkward. I've only now saying that I do these interviews with these comedians. I only do it over the phone or I do it over email. I've only done 2 over email. All the other 70 or 60 something, I don't know how many have I done. The other ones I've done have been all on the phone. So I'm talking to people. I'm calling them numbers. Their people are calling me. I'm calling them, whatever. And we're having a good 10 to sometimes 30-minute conversation just talking about stuff. And mostly about comedy. And so I'm talking to Jimmy. And I'm thinking, I'm not having a good time. Yeah, I mean, I'm happy to meet my hero. But I've dug a very crappy conversation hole. And I think we both know it. But he's being very polite. Jimmy, if you're listening to this, I don't know why you are, though. Thank you. I appreciate you for speaking with me. It was great. Please know that I'm way better than I was on Friday night. On Friday, August 25th, 2017, at the Laughing Skull Lounge in Atlanta after the 8 o'clock show. Please know that I am way less awkward. I've spoken to your friends. I've spoken to Jen Kirkman 3 times. No, twice. Can I count? I've spoken to her twice. I've spoken to Lori Kilmartin. I've spoken to Matt Bronger. I've spoken to so many people that you know, that you have crossed paths with, that you've had on your podcast. I am better than what I was, okay? I promise. And if you're listening to this, I'm going to try my darndest. I've tried twice. I've tried twice to set up an interview with you. With your people have not responded to me for good reason. So, Jimmy, please, if you want to talk to me, feel free to hit me up. I am so sorry. I feel stupid. I promise you I will have a better conversation for you next time. But that was great. I eventually got back home. Got back home at like 10:30 on the dot. It was so weird. Yeah, man. But it was fun. I enjoyed it. I had a good time. I met Jimmy Pardo. Shook hands with him twice. He called himself. I said, you and I are. This is so. I hate my life. I said, you and I are basically the same person. We do this, we do that, blah blah. It's so funny. And he goes, yeah. But except I'm a little nerd, and you're you. And I'm thinking, no, we're the same. Oh my God. He gave me a compliment. I feel good. Jimmy, I shook his hand. Jimmy Pardo, what a nice guy. He looked me in the eye when we were speaking. I'm thinking, man, this guy can really hold a conversation, even when it's with somebody as dull as me. It was great though. I hope to see him again. I hope to somehow make my way out to Flappers. He and Matt Belknap have a residency there, a month residency, not a month long one, a monthly residency at Flappers in Burbank, I believe. I think it's Burbank. Anyway, I'll be excited to go. I gotta go to Los Angeles. I gotta meet that guy. I gotta meet a lot of other people. I gotta hang out with my contemporaries, with these people who want to be interviewed by me. Why? Why does anybody want to be interviewed by me? Okay. Speaking of interviews, we got in this. Hey, you can read a lot of those interviews, every single one of those interviews, at cpluscomedy.com, where we got the latest news, reviews, features, interviews, and other good comedy bits that only I can provide you with. You can follow us on Twitter at cpluscomedy. Follow me on Twitter. Jesus. Not at Jesus. Follow me on Twitter at Chad Black White. Like us on Facebook. Tumble with us on Tumblr. And listen to the Constitutionalist podcast. This is just the tumble with us on Tumblr. Why did I say that? Let me tell you right now. I'm just going through the motions. Right when I say that end tag stuff, I'm going right through the motions. Follow on Twitter. Do all that stuff. I haven't said tumble with us on Tumblr in a long time on News Time. So anyway, do all that stuff. Do it. It's great. Watch the Tick, watch episodes if you like that stuff. Listen to the Never Not Funny podcast. Listen, guys, I subscribe to 73 podcasts. If you want some podcast recommendations, if you're mostly comedy though, mostly comedy and NPR and New York Times, like learning podcasts. So comedy and learning. So if you want that type of stuff, man, I got you. I'll say Comedy Bang Bang. You Made It Weird. With special guest Lauren Lapkus. Yeah, whatever you want. You can have, still processing. Whatever you like. I'll give it to you. I'll tell you about it. You'll say, what's it about? I'll give you a synopsis. I'll give you a log line. 3 words. Still processing is about 2 culture writers and how they have topic. I'm doing a really bad job. And they do topics about how this stuff relates to the culture. The end. Boom. That's how I do it. Check out the Never Not Funny podcast. Do what you gotta do. Okay, guys, that's the end of this episode. Thank you for listening. I appreciate it. Thanks. Bye.